President Cyril Ramaphosa is about to address the leaders' dialogue one on scaling up actions on key transactions to accelerate sustainable development goals progress. Let's take you live there now.
Reigns and arms race accelerates, international interactions disrupt and become scattered. My first message is hence that we must work together to seek path to peace in all the regions hit by the war conflict. Behind the noise of guns, there is the silence of tears. I would like to amplify the voices of those here at the UN before the world leaders who are suffering war. I was recently in Ukraine, and I bring their messages to you. Let there be peace as soon as possible so that sons, husbands, and fathers do not have to be sent to the front lines. My second point concerns the main pillars of our life: family, school, and church. If we let our families be destroyed, our schools be neglected, and our churches be discredited, we lose the moral anchor of our life and of the mankind. And that is a fatal mistake. We have clearly outlined in the SDGs the measures that are necessary if we want the world handed on to our children and grandchildren to be a worthy inheritance. We want them to live better than our parents and grandparents did, and we want them to live better, happier, and in a more responsible way than we do. First and foremost, we need a responsible childbearing and parenting, a chance for the parents to raise their children with attention, patience, and love. We not just owe our children and grandchildren the preservation of our future, but the created world itself. I come from Europe, where the cradles are empty. Our fight for a world of empty cradles is not worthwhile. We need children in the world preserved. I can assure you that Hungary remains deeply committed to achieving as many sustainable development goals as possible. I hope that today's leaders' discussion will open up the possibility for more positive and inclusive international relations, encouraging all countries to accelerate the implementation of the SDGs. The 2023 Global Sustainable Development Report ranks Hungary 22nd out of 166 countries in the global ranking. Hungary's SDG index in 2023 is 79.4. Of all these rankings and indices, I consider the greatest achievement to be that my country has made major steps in meeting the first target, the eradication of poverty. Thanks to the work done over the past years, there has been no setback in any of the targets for Hungary, which I also consider to be a great achievement. Overall, my country is already on track or making good progress in nearly 60% of the indicators assessed. So please, ladies and gentlemen, now let me give the floor to my co-chair, co-moderator, His Excellency President Tokayev, to make his opening remarks. Thank you.
Good morning, Excellencies. I am privileged to co-moderate this session of Leaders' Dialogue together with Her Excellency Katalin Novak, President of Hungary, who has already highlighted its theme. With the limited time at our disposal, we would like to know about the pledges to policies and actions for all-inclusive development. It is also important to know how the promising potential for transformation is unlocked at the local, regional, and global levels through innovation, resources, and smarter interlocking solutions. I now deliver some reflections on this theme in my national capacity as President of Kazakhstan. Ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations 2030 Agenda is once-in-a-generation chance to build a prosperous future. Yet, our collective efforts are being undermined by current global challenges exacerbated by geopolitical shocks. These obstacles clearly extend beyond the capabilities of any single nation. Only through the global unity can we generate tangible results. For Kazakhstan, achieving the SDGs is a matter of national priority. The principles of sustainable development have become the foundation of our national strategies and programs. Today, we are heavily investing in a sustainable future. 80% of the state budget is synchronized with the SDGs. We ensure universal access to free education and healthcare. A new social code has strengthened protection of vulnerable groups. To achieve a common sustainable future, joint action is urgently needed. My proposal is as follows. First, it's necessary to strengthen the one UN principle at the regional level to promote better synergy. Thus, we are initiating the establishment of the regional hub on SDGs for Central Asia and Afghanistan and Kazakhstan. It will ensure the effective coordination of UN project activities in the region. Second, the international financial architecture must be revitalized. If the SDGs are to be met, the financial system must promote equality for all countries rather than for the few. Much more financing is needed to address current ecological, educational, and health-related issues. Third, today's climate, food, and energy crisis pose a serious threat to sustainable development. We must strengthen our international cooperation on technical support, scientific research, and risk assessment under the United Nations leadership. The Sustainable Development Goals represent the path to a better world for all. We must come together and redouble our commitments. Kazakhstan will always remain a staunch advocate of a strong and effective UN role in sustainable development. Thank you for your attention. And now I resume my functions as co-moderator. Distinguished participants, we will now proceed to hear statements by those inscribed on the list of speakers. Before calling on the first speaker, may I remind delegations that statements are strictly limited to 3 minutes. To assist speakers in managing their time, a countdown clock will be visible on the screen. When the clock signifies that the 3 minutes have been exhausted, speakers are kindly requested to conclude their statements. Full versions of longer interventions can be submitted to the Secretariat for posting on the SDG Summit website. And now I have the privilege to give the floor to His Excellency Zoran Milanovic, President of the Republic of Croatia.
Madam President Novak, my dear friend Katalin, Mr. President Tokayev, may I announce that I will stick to your invitation and appeal to stick by 3 minutes with a religious fervor. National Development Strategy 2030, fully in line with the implementation of the SDGs, defines strategic objectives of Croatia. It shows a clear vision, its future based on 3 priorities: digital transformation, demographic renewal, and green transition. This has earned Croatia a high 12th place among 166 countries in the 2023 Sustainable Development Report. Croatia is making good progress in many areas. Percentage of people at risk of poverty and social exclusion in Croatia has decreased in recent years through implementation of the National Plan for Combating Poverty and Social Exclusion for the period 21-27. At 19.9%, Croatia is below EU level of 21.6%. Croatia is advancing in green transition through decarbonization and integrated energy and climate plan. Thus, Croatia is aiming to increase renewables in its electricity consumption to 73.6% by 2030. Another important step towards climate neutral, resource efficient and resilient economy and society is the Digital Croatia Strategy 2032, a framework to steer to digital transformation of Croatia's society and economy for the next decade. Uniquely rich in waters and forests, Croatia places high importance on protection, preservation, and conservation of its natural resources and biodiversity, promoting nature-based solutions as one of the main tools for climate change adaptation. As a country of 1,000 islands, Croatia will contribute to the global goal of ocean preservation by legally protecting 30% of the Adriatic Sea, 30%, under its national jurisdiction. However, a lot of work is still in front of us. Further efforts need to be made when it comes to developing innovations and sustainable industries, diversifying the economy and reducing inequality within the aim of achieving a continuous, sustainable and climate-friendly growth. Croatia creating a better, faster and more modern judiciary and more efficient public administration, we will significantly improve the business environment and increase trust in institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to give the floor. It's my pleasure to give the floor to His Excellency Sadir Japarov, President of the Kyrgyz Republic. The floor is yours, Mr. President.
Уважаемые председатели,
distinguished co-moderators, distinguished delegates, the 2030 agenda is our best roadmap to a peaceful, safe, and healthy life for current and future generations. The SDGs are the basis for our state policy, and they have been incorporated into our long-term development strategies. We have adopted the UN framework on cooperation for the SDGs, a 2-year joint work plan, and a comprehensive national financing mechanism for the SDGs. We also have a council in place for the achievement of the SDGs. I'm pleased to note that in the recent UN report on the SDGs, the Kyrgyz Republic noted significant success in the achievement of the SDGs, as they are currently on 45th place out of 166 UN countries. And by 2030, we hope to enter the top 30. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the fact that half of our time to the achievement of the SDGs has gone by, we must note that we are far from our goals. According to the UN Secretary General's report on the progress of the SDGs, we here are together to show our political will and our readiness to work quickly and effectively to achieve the SDGs at all levels. Distinguished participants in this summit, I wish to focus your attention on the areas of the SDGs that are key for my country. First, the Kyrgyz Republic, before the COVID pandemic, had made significant progress in decreasing poverty. But due to the coronavirus, the overall amount of poverty rose from 20% to 25% in 2020. To reverse this trend, we must strengthen our social protection systems based on justice and inclusivity. The Kyrgyz Republic is working to comprehensively transform its education system through equal access to education, as well as improved quality and financing. Access to quality education will allow for beneficial skills to be learned so as to later obtain decent work. These are key and essential elements for the well-being of our people. The Kyrgyz Republic is committed to sustainable development through principles of the microphone has been cut off.
I apologize that your statement was cut off. Unfortunately, we have to resort to these measures due to the time constraints. So I thank you, Mr. President. Now I have the pleasure to give the floor to His Excellency Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa.
Your Excellencies, this is a vital summit that must revive and accelerate our progress towards the fulfillment of the promises we made to the peoples of the world. The world's poorest and most vulnerable are carrying the cost of our collective inability to achieve significant success and advance on fulfilling the Sustainable Development Goals. We therefore need urgent action to reverse the devastating impact of COVID-19 as well. We need to step up our actions against climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. At the same time, we must recognize that every country does have the right to pursue its own development pathway towards the shared global objectives. National efforts to eradicate poverty require a conducive international environment. There is an urgent need to transform the global financial architecture. In the face of growing protectionism, we need to ensure a fair, rules-based, multilateral global trade system that gives developing economies equal access to world markets. South Africa welcomes the important steps taken to address the impact of the current global economic crisis on low and medium income countries through the mobilization of additional financial resources for the 2030 agenda. South Africa also joins the call to address the fundamental development challenges that have long characterized our unequal world. This requires targeted investment, technology transfer, capacity building, and especially in key areas that have to do with industrialization, that have to do with infrastructure, agriculture, water, energy, education, and health as well. It will also require predictable as well as sustained financial support, including supportive trade policies from the international community. Ultimately, the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals depends on the fundamental reform of global, social, economic, and political relations. I do believe that this is still attainable if we all make serious efforts to ensure that we implement what we decided on in 2015. I thank you.
Thank you so much, President Ramaphosa, and also thank you so much for respecting the time limits.